was reading Norwegian in its final chapters, it came into my mind that the book is like a prose equivalent of the poetic form, the canzoni, and on steroids, though, in that many of the pieces, they seem to be individually hewn to something else, like the Tony Luff story or the Cara Maravelli story, and they seem to be kind of disjointed in that way, yet they form a portrait all their own when they're brought together. They're kind of like jigsaw pieces that fit in different sequences, but can form a much grander map that way. Would you agree with that analogy? And was that intended? Because I know that the original chapter 54, the acid sequence, wasn't initially planned as you began the novel.
Well, I mean, you have an idea to start out a book, and then as you get writing, other ideas come along, and an initial idea that you thought was going to be a bedrock may not turn out to be a bedrock. A character may not turn out to be a character that you're going to have as prominently, and other things pop in and up. I think I mentioned in the Vincetti brothers, Big Frank was just going to be a generic mob boss in the back, but then when I gave him a name and started writing from him, this whole character emerged. And so, had I not had I gone with just that generic character, this book may never have been written. And so, you always have to be open to those sorts of things. The Carla Maravelli character I told you, I sort of based upon this character by this actress Sarah Brown on General Hospital that she was playing, and so forth. There's so many things that you can pull in things from. Tony Luft started out as a joke about the actor Joey Luft, who was Judy Garland's talentless son, and so I just gave him an Italian name, Tony Luft. Said, "Oh, he's an Italian Jew," and to have a Roman Catholic Italian Jew who can't be in the mafia but likes to kill, and who is a boob, and all of these things sort of pop up, and the characters, in a sense, sort of form themselves. I mean, obviously, there's a controlling undermind or overmind that I have that creates them and crafts the characters and crafts the story. But if I could somehow visually represent in my mind sort of a poster of how the narrative is supposed to play out and go this way and that way, I mean, I eventually get to around the same place where I hope to do. I eventually touch pretty much all the bases and then some of what I wanted to touch. But in another way to look at it, it's often quite vastly different. But it's usually always better because it's richer, because I'm open to that change. And many artists are not open to that change. At this job that I'm working at the schools, when I have downtime at the end of the night, when I finish, I sometimes am cleaning in a classroom, and I'll flip open a book here or there. I flipped open a book of Jhumpa Lahiri's short stories, or no, a novel, The Namesake, and what a goddamn lifeless book. I mean, the chapters begin and they end. There's no sense of a voice behind it. It's utterly, totally generic. The characters do nothing. You can tell that this was a very highly plotted out book because it's suffocating. It doesn't breathe. There's no life within it.
Yeah, I would agree with that, and I'd also say that even some of the moments that you know how they will turn out in the Norwegian, such as a moment that we'll get to with Big Frank and the Norwegian, those moments are kind of, the predictability of them isn't what's important. It's what the character sees and how he reacts to it. And this whole book begins with the murder of Daryl Bates and sort of how that leads to the downfall of Pauline Maravelli.